What's good, everybody? Welcome back. This is Inside the Green Room. He's Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. You already know the vibes. We are getting so close to the NBA season heating up. Obviously, Christmas is not too far away. We're in the second week of NBA Cup games. We're seeing some real dope performances from across the league. Dyson Daniels is stripping the ball from anybody who comes close to him. LeBron James is having triple-doubles out his ass. Wemby's having 50-point games. A lot's going on the good side. Lots going on the bad side. The Milwaukee Bucks, yes, they did get a win recently against the Houston Rockets, but it still doesn't look good for them. You also have the situation in Philadelphia, and that's where we're going to pause. That's where we're going to focus in, at least for right now. As it presently stands, the Philadelphia 76ers are matter of fact, hold on, sorry. I jumped the gun here. Who am I? Who am I not to actually acknowledge my friend? What's good, Danny? How are you?
What's good, brother?
How's everything? Before we get into the ether, how are you?
Yeah.
Life update.
You was ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Nasir, you was on Nas vibes just now. Everything's good, brother. Everything's good. You know, staying steady, stable, doing my little shows here and there when I can. When they ask for my services, it's a good feel, good vibe, and it's good to get in the game full time. Adjusting and still being retired, which is. It's a great feeling. Still working out here and there when I can, do the dunes, but doing some stuff with ESPN, of course. They ask for your boy services here and there. It's great. Doing some stuff with TNT. They ask for your boy services. FanDuel here and there. So I'm looking forward to it. We have a busy month, but in the meantime, I said visiting for the holidays, the in-laws, and then my family for a little bit, letting the grandson interact with his grandparents, and then trying to figure out the holidays for Thanksgiving and Christmas when we go back home. But everything's good, man. How's everything with you?
Everything is well, my friend. So you guys can catch Danny, or when he's on FanDuel, he's on the Run It Back show with Michelle Beadle, Chandler Parsons, and Lou Williams. You can catch him on a myriad of shows for ESPN, whether that's him doing SportsCenter appearances or on NBA Today, and obviously you can find him here as well. And just to update as well for you guys, I'm also at VSiN Live, 7 to 8 a.m. We're doing a lot of sports betting talk. We're going beyond basketball, football as well. I've been really diving in to a lot of good sports betting tips, information, and just fun commentary. Still doing ESPN radio on certain weekends, and also an MSG network for anybody in the New York area. So Danny and I stay busy, but we know where our bread is originally buttered, and that is right here on Inside the Green Room. So before we get into the Sixers, ask you guys to subscribe, rate, and review.
Yeah, rate, subscribe, review.
Read all that good stuff. If you are listening to us using the Audacy podcast app, a reminder, you could use YouTube to watch us as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on the go using the Audacy podcast app. Danny, actually, with you saying all the entities and with you that you're working with and the entities that now I am working with, I think it's only appropriate with the holiday season being here that we give a happy holidays shout out and a shout out to all of our original listeners, because I think for you and I, when we were both like, you were trying to get into the media game and I was like in an in-between place, this podcast has definitely been a source of inspiration for us, got you the necessary reps, got me some necessary recognition. So a big shout out and a big thank you to all the day one OG
all the day ones.
Inside the Green Room podcast listeners. Yeah. We are definitely indebted to all
happy
of you.
Happy Hanukkah,
listeners.
Happy Thanksgiving, happy Merry
Kwanzaa,
Christmas, all the happy
of them.
holidays. We appreciate you guys, the day ones for sure.
Yeah. And much success to everybody going forward. I hope that this day that you are happy on this day and all the good things, all the good positive energy that I could provide or that I could manifest for you. I'm trying to give it to you guys that way. Now, let's get into the negativity.
Let's go now.
Yeah, we're done now. We're done now. All right. So the Philadelphia 76ers went into this season having some of the best vibes one would have thought going into the year. After being eliminated in the playoffs last year in 6 games to the New York Knicks, they clapped back. They got Paul George, and they obviously also bringing back Joel Embiid, and they signed him to a new contract. Joel Embiid supposedly maybe even rejuvenated or maybe even playing at a higher level because he just spent the offseason on the Olympic team, playing along the likes of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. The names go on and on. However, it did not turn out to be as positive as they would have liked. Joel Embiid had the whole controversy with him being in a conditioning program and him not being available. Paul George started the season unavailable. Recently, Tyrese Maxey had the hamstring injury. All bad things. And now it has continued to progress into the latest report that we got from Shams Charania. I could have given you a more detailed recap, but we know what's going on. On Tuesday, Shams Charania reported that after their loss to the Miami Heat, in which now the Sixers record is 2-11. There was a team meeting. In the team meeting, Shams Charania is reporting that Tyrese Maxey confronted Joel Embiid during that team meeting and basically told him that he needs to stop being late for everything, and that his tardiness has had a trickle-down effect on the team, whether it be the players, the staff, and the organization. Now, after the game, Joel Embiid, when asked about a team meeting, didn't acknowledge that there even was one. Nick Nurse, after the game yesterday, acknowledged that there was a team meeting, and that explained his tardiness in speaking to the media. We're going to go into the weeds with this a little bit more. But Danny, your first reaction to not just there being a team meeting, but then it becoming public.
I don't like it. And just hearing how you said it, I didn't know it happened that way. The fact that they're not all on the same page, and I think the Joel approach, or whoever the approach it is from the top, if Coach Nurse says he wants to acknowledge it, it's fine. Cool, go with that. But I think the better way was to be like, it's in-house business. This is nobody else's business. This is how it's happening. But Nick Nurse already put it out the bag, and then Joel's acting like, I don't know. So them not being on the same page makes it look a little bit messy. Like, we need to be on the same. You have a team meeting. Hopefully what you guys discussed came to a head and some things were broken down. Should have better communication. And even after that meeting, it should be better communication coming out of this is what we're saying, this is what we're not saying to the media. But Nick Nurse obviously wanted it to be known. Some things needed to be said, some things were said, and a meeting was had. I like Joel acting like, keeping it in home. I don't know how this got leaked. It shouldn't. I've been a part of some organizations where things were leaked and it shouldn't have been, and some where none of them leaked. And one thing was leaked. It was shocking when that one thing was leaked. Being in San Antonio Spurs, very mom and pop-ish, don't like anything leaked to the media or anything talked about in the media. So they're very strict on that. But yes, I do not like that I do like the fact they had a meeting. I do not like the fact that it was aired out. I don't know who, why, but your laundry should stay dirty in the house. You don't need to let it be outside, letting everybody to see it. So with that being said, I like Tyrese stepping up and being a leader, even though he's not in the game and playing right now. He's on the sideline, he's hurt, but he's voicing his opinion. This is the next step for him. Always been a great kid, always been one of the nicest human beings should be around. So if he has a problem, there's an issue. There's no other way to put it. So I like the fact that he's actually stepping up, not only challenging probably other people, but Joel especially, because he's a leader. Regardless of how he views himself to the team or to the world or what he wants to be. Once Charles Barkley said, I don't care to be, a leader. I don't care to be your idol. Mm-hmm. Regardless if you care to be or not, you are. These people look up to you and you inspire them. So how you carry yourself, everyone's following suit in that locker room, outside the locker room, the organization, et cetera. So if there's little things that need to be done or changed, and the details do matter a lot. And I know that I've made a career on the details, and that started in San Antonio. And those things go a long way. We had some superstars that didn't act like superstars, and Pop didn't care to have or treat them like superstars. So they didn't have any egos. And those superstars were toward the end of their tenure. So we were able to win championships without superstars, So because we did the details, and those things, being a professional, are a huge, huge difference maker in possessions on the court. And Tyrese voicing that opinion was very important because right now they are in a hole, and if they don't get their act together, it's going to be hard to climb out of it, especially with Tyrese being out and Joel trying to find his rhythm, get in shape. But they're talented enough to do so. But being 2-11 right now, not good news.
Terrible start for the Philadelphia 76ers, 2-11 to start the season. I want to continue to go down that path, though, Danny. First, let's go to examples in your career. Mm-hmm. Can you identify, or can you even begin to fathom what it would have meant to you, what would have meant to the Spurs organization if Tim Duncan was a guy who was religiously late? Like, what was the impact of him being on time? What was the impact of him being a professional? Because I can't envision it, right? Because I'm never in a locker room. I'm never at a practice. But give me some tangible examples of what that does.
Everything started and ended with him. Pop knew that. And that came from him being early, leaving late, and being able to be coached and cussed out just like any other person. Because if he ain't able to do it to Timmy, then it's going to be harder to do it to everybody else. But because he could do it to Timmy, it made it easy to keep everybody else in line. And I think he had I wouldn't say a saying, but he would tell the guys, if you get the big one, you get that big one to listen, or you knock the big one out, everybody else will fall in line. That's usually how it is when you're in a fight, right? You go up to the biggest guy in the room or in the crew, knock his ass out, and everybody's not testing you. Oh, he got hands. Harrison got hands. Don't mess with him. You won't have to fight again. So it was a huge ordeal and a huge piece to not only my career, but everybody else around him's career, and seeing how the greatest power forward of all time operated at year 17, 18. He did this obviously early in his career, but he did it even later in his career when most guys, he didn't have nothing to prove. And he's made all the money. He didn't care, but he still was a professional on time, wanted to win, cared about the game, passionate about the game, cared about his teammates, and didn't want to let anybody down, let alone his teammates and Pop and organization, but the city and the fans. And if he didn't do those things, I couldn't imagine my career, let alone everybody else's career, being the same as what it was. I don't know if I would have stayed. I want to be able to follow and learn how to be a professional if he wasn't like that.
So dive a little bit deeper for me. So what? If Tim Duncan starts coming late, you feel empowered to start coming late. Tim Duncan starts not paying attention to details. You don't pay attention to details. How's that work?
Domino effect, bro. Simple as this, right? Everybody comes to the plane. They say plane's at 2:45. You're late if you're on time. Most guys get there. Rookies should better be there at 2:30. Everybody else get there, 2:35, 2:40. You better make sure that 2:40. They tell you 2:45, but the plane leaves at 3. Once one guy comes at 2:55, another guy at 3:05, and it's like, all right, I know we're not ever leaving on time. One guy leaves at 3:20. Now it's his thing. Guys we're leaving the plane at 3:30. I know I don't have to be there early. Next, I'm planning to be there at 2:55. Now if there's traffic, now I'm late. Now we got 10 guys late. That's just how it goes. The domino effect of, well, this guy don't care. We're never on time. As long as I beat so-and-so here, I'm not worried. You know what I'm saying? I'm not considered late. And if they don't find you, but Timmy would never be late. He was always early, always on time. So it was, and then once one person gets to do it, it's like, all right, what's going on? It was weird things for me when we were in San Antonio because it was never, I was young. Certain guys get certain exemptions to be like, oh, I'm going to fly early or fly late. Like everybody flew together on the team and came to time. Very rarely did he let somebody be excused from, flying together or traveling together with the team or stay over because, oh, this is my home city. I'll meet you guys the next day since we have the day off. Everybody flew together. When it happened, I was like, oh, why did he? Oh, so I was like, okay, it's his home. That's this home. This is where he lives, or this is where he's from, or he has a house there. Certain things. Certain other organizations, like some guys just want to kick it and stay over, or some guys just me to say, it's like, yo, what the hell's going on? Where's so-and-so? Why is he not here? Oh, he want to stay back. He said this, or he was sick, or he has family here. I know damn sure he ain't from here. He ain't from Miami, or he ain't from Houston. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is he staying over? They want to kick it, hang out, party, whatever. So once that starts happening, it's like, all right, well, I got the freedom. He's got the freedom to do that. I understand he's a special player, but shit, I ain't nobody. I should be able to do some things too. We all grown men here. If this is grown men allowed to do this, I should have. Then it goes to the trickling effect, domino effect, or it goes down the line. Now everybody's making excuses to be late or showing up late or be able to find ways to not travel with the team. All these little things breaks the camaraderie. Like the space where guys should be coming together on the plane, on the bus. Pop used to force us to, sit at different tables when we ate. Learn about your teammates. Sit on the plane with different guys. Forced to talk to us so we can actually get to know each other and be as one, as a unit. When you have guys not doing the same thing on different pages or to themselves or doing their own thing, it's a lot harder to keep it together in the locker room and on the court because you just don't have that camaraderie. You just don't have that bond that you should have when you're going into battle.
So, okay, so Pop is a different breed, right? Now, you also play with LeBron. And I don't have full evidence of this, but I'm just going to assume. I assume that when you play with LeBron, he might have not gotten the same type of treatment that Popovich was given to Tim Duncan. But the caveat would be is that I from what I remember when I was in LA with you covering the Lakers, is that LeBron already approaches the game with a sense of professionalism. You didn't have to whip him into shape. You didn't have to necessarily, quote unquote, chastise him because he already came with that perfectionist type of mindset.
That starts with your vets when you come into the league. And if you don't have the proper vets teaching you how to be professional, it is very hard to adapt and adjust to that. And I don't know what it was like in Phillies early on for Joel and Ben. I'm sure it was a adjustment for Brett Brown to try to get them.
Sorry to cut you off, but you talked about that. I remember when you first went to Philadelphia, and you didn't say this publicly on the podcast, but you told me, but now we could just talk about it because you're retired.
Yeah.
You and Doc, you and Doc were shocked at the lack of professionalism or how would I say this? They just weren't operating at the optimal levels.
Yeah,
the guys
you get shocked a lot of different spaces. But I know Doc, as soon as he came in, his first his first pillar or his first thing of order was like, I'm gonna change the atmosphere. We need to get guys professional first before we do anything else. So he came in trying to set that standard. Same thing with Nick, trying to come in and set that standard. Ultimately, man, it's hard to set that standard if your star player is not abiding by those rules. You know what I'm saying? So now. Rightfully so, these star players should get different treatment, right? I understand that. Nobody's saying that. But when you take advantage, that's when it becomes an issue. So LeBron, as much as he got treated differently, he didn't act like he needed to be treated differently, nor did he act like I could be late. He was there early all the time, late as well. Him and Timmy, very similar in stature and how they carry themselves and how they operated and just the professionalism level. Even though we know he got special treatment, regardless, we had no issues with him because we knew he's going to be there on time. He was not going to be late. He's going to be early, and he's going to lead by example. And I said, no matter how much you don't want to be an idol or an inspiration or a leader or team captain, you are the superstar. Everybody's following your suit. You make the most money on the court. You are getting the ball every time on the court. You are what makes this engine go. And if you constantly not putting, the right proper fuel in the tank, or you're constantly not getting things checked on the tires or doing things fixed on the car, you're just coming in like, all right, F it, like whatever. I'm able to get the job done regardless with this, with this vehicle. And it's like, well, this guy ain't taking care of his body. He's not lifting weights. Why am I required to? Now the rookie's looking at him like, yeah, I'm making me lift 3 times a week. This guy, I haven't seen him lift once in 3 months. So like, what's the stipulation here? Well, what's the standard? What's the boundaries? What's the rules? It's just harder to keep things in line when your star players or even your vet guys, your older guys, are not leading by example. But first and foremost, shout out to Pop. Condolences. I tried to see him this past weekend. I was in San Antonio for a wedding. I didn't get a chance to. They're limiting visitors to see him, but I hope he gets better, gets well. But without him, without Timmy, and obviously Tony Manu, how he coached things, how Timmy operated, Bron as well. There's a reason why these guys are successful. I can imagine the other successful guys that I have not gotten a chance to play with, even Kawhi, he's early, worked out late. He was not on time. I could imagine the other superstars that I haven't played with operating the same way. The Steph Currys, I'm trying to think of who else that was great that I didn't get a chance to play with. There's so many of them, but there's a reason why they're successful, and because they do the little things. Even though they're super talented and they are superstars, they still operate in a fashion that they know is going to keep them, their longevity, their career, their talent, and also help not only them succeed, but their team succeed.
So so now I find myself puzzled, right? Because I think Joel Embiid has taken on a brunt of criticism before for the lack of success with the Philadelphia 76ers. And while some of it was warranted, I think he's also been getting a pass as well, because I think the educated fan also understands, okay, he had to deal with Ben Simmons for a while, who just wasn't there. He had to deal with unfortunate injuries that, like, the orbital fracture and even the vertigo I think he had last year. Like, some of these things are freak things, right? So, and let's
keep it 100. It's really because he's also been able to do these things and still drop 30 or 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, come back right away. And I'm not saying Joel is terrible or the worst. I'm sure there's things I've seen, and he's gotten better over time. He's got more mature. He's been with his teammates. He's communicated more. I don't know if he's taken a step backward in that sense. It sounds like it from Tyrese, or what they say Tyrese's comments are. But he's used to being able to operate like this and still come back and give you 30, 40. He's a little older now. The body's not reacting the same. And once you come back and you're scoring 11 or 13 and you're still losing games with you back, now it's like, all right, but you can't wait till then. You have to address these issues before, because you know at some point these things are going to happen. But if he gave you 30 or 40, would they still have said something? Even if they lost, if he had 30 or 40, would they still say something? Usually not, because
he did his job.
He did his job. He did 30, 40. But when you are struggling and Jared McCain's the only one actually balling the way he's supposed, probably above what he's supposed to be balling. PG still getting in rhythm. Joel's still in rhythm. These guys aren't scoring and losing by 20 to teams they shouldn't be losing to by that. I understand a loss, but losing in that fashion. And Joel is not putting up the numbers, or certain guys aren't putting the numbers. Then it's like, all right, now we got to say something. But at that point, it's too late. He's been doing this for, 10, 12, I don't know how long he's been in the league now, but he's been doing this for a decade damn near, putting up numbers and be able to do this and operate in that fashion. So now it's like, he's probably looking at like, why is it now a problem? Well, because I didn't score yet and the way I'm supposed to in the last 2 games. He'll get back, but are you going to keep that standard when he is playing still that way? If he's still giving you 30, 40, you're still going to say, yo, Joel, you need to be on time. That's when, it matters. That's when it's going to matter, because that's when it carries over to the postseason. It carries over to the longevity of his career. Hopefully he plays longer years, but it's going to be hard to do those things or keep a team successful if, the operation is not, everything's not on the same page and he's still operating like, oh, I can still get away with doing it this way because nobody says something unless I play bad.
I want to touch on one more thing about Joel Embiid, and then we got to touch on other things in the NBA. So he might be, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it back. That's for sure, because he is supremely talented. Now, but the one thing
man, should not be able to stop. He's very good.
Oh my gosh! Now, the one thing that I do find interesting going forward with him, you could see it. He's lost a considerable amount of weight, and I'm curious how that will actually play out, because one of his strategic advantages that he's had is his girth, his ability to put people in the rim. How do you think that kind of plays out on the court with him not necessarily being able? I feel like he probably still could punish people, but he definitely looks different.
So the key for him is to keep the strength. You can still lose weight and keep the strength. You just have to stay in the weight room, stay on top of his body. So he can still do that. Even with him losing weight, he's still bigger than 95% of the league. So like there's only a few guys that can bang or battle with him down in the post, even when he's at his skinniest. So for him, I think it just helps him stay not fresh, but keeps his conditioning up. He's lighter to be able to run the floor, keep up with Tyrese and PG and those guys and Jared McCain. But his issue in the past was, especially in the playoffs. And I think it was, who was it that said it? That played for Atlanta Hawks, big man. He was like, all I have to do is wait till the fourth quarter. I know he's going to die out and he's going to run out of gas. Clint Capella. And I think him and Clint had a thing. So he knew that. So knowing that, it's like, all right, keeping your condition up, losing the weight, making sure you're healthy and fresh for the second half and for the fourth quarters. I think that's good. But so just keeping the strength. No matter how much you lose, you can still get in the weight room. And I think getting in the weight room will help him be less injury prone. He'll be able to avoid and keep his tendons good, keep his knee good. He has to do a lot to maintain that and make sure that everything's on its P's and Q's, and not just think like, well, I'm healthy now, so I don't have to continue to rehab. No, when you hurt something, you got to continue to rehab it until your career, like for life, usually. It's like, all right, if I tore something in my knee, if I did this, I need to stay on top of it. I tore my Achilles, I need to stay on top of this every day, every game. My whole life, even when I'm done playing, if I want my Achilles to feel strong and not deteriorate, or I want my knee to feel strong, I need to probably continue to work on it and rehab not only that tendon or that muscle, but everything around it too. So he has to just continue to stay on that regimen. And I think they will turn it around. This meeting was necessary. I don't like that it got out. So I don't know who or what was pointed out besides Joel. I'm sure there's other people. I don't know what habits that he has that are bad. I just know that they pointed this one out, and I could see that being an issue. And because they look at him as the main leader, you're the guy, we're following you, so you have to be on top of your shit, man. Plain and simple. If you're not, it's harder for Nick to coach everybody else and keep them on top of their stuff, or Kyle Lowry to keep, be a vet. It's hard for the veterans and guys like myself and also Tyrese Maxey to have a voice and tell these other young guys, this is what you need to do when other person's not doing it.
I think as I take a step back, I think I almost gained a greater. I think you and I we've had Tyrese Maxey here on the show before, and I was always impressed with his mindset. I think I've gained another level of appreciation for it because, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. But I thought during the latter years of your career, when obviously you were paid to be a player, but you were also paid to be a locker room veteran. Yeah. I think for you, and again, tell me if I'm wrong. I think it wasn't as easy for you to confront locker rooms because you were in the latter years of your career. You're obviously trying to maintain your status in the league, and you don't have the comfort of necessarily upsetting a locker by calling out some necessary evils. Whereas Tyrese Maxey, obviously, he got the rookie. He's solidified for a while now, so he could talk a little bit louder. But I think it's interesting. Because I thought, Danny, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, you didn't have the freedom to potentially call out Joel or call out any other team. Then let's not even say Joel, any team that you were on where you didn't have a solid contract. Because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're not incorrect.
You're not empowered to do that.
You're not incorrect, and among other things that were going on made it harder for me to confront certain issues because certain issues weren't enabled or certain issues were not addressed by others. It's harder for me to say it when they don't have a problem with it or this person don't say anything or that. I have very few people that would help me in the locker room talk. I know people see Dwight as the crazy, like wild child, immature guy, but he wanted to win and he would say something sometimes when he could. It may not always be the right thing. We had Tobias in there to help, but us trying to police the locker room ourselves and some coaching staff, it just wasn't enough. And it was harder to do when certain things weren't enabled or allowed or wasn't nipped in the bud when it was supposed to. Why or how can I say something or why should I say something if this person ain't saying it or if that person's not addressing it and that person has more say so than I do. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this person's above me. This person is a coach. This person's the front office. Like if they're not saying anything, then how the hell am I going to say? And mind you, he's still doing his job. He's still getting his numbers and doing what he's supposed to do. So what can I say? All I can say is all I know is eventually it's going to bite you in the ass regardless of how you can't cheat the game. You can't cheat life. If you don't do things the right way, it's going to come back to haunt you. Whether it's either get an injury or your body deteriorating faster or whatever it is, or just certain bad karma coming that way, whether there's bad luck with injuries. But if you're not taking care of yourself or your team or your bodies or doing things or trying to cut corners, there's always something bad to follow.
Yeah, man.
That's just what I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I just believe.
I understand.
And the basketball gods reward the guys that do it the right way, the teams that do it the right way, and the basketball gods know how to mess with the other groups that don't do it the right way.
I just think, obviously that makes a world of sense, at least to me. But I just think, I just think you just don't want to have regrets and you want to maximize.
Yes, say I did everything I possibly did right to get this. Now, if you lose, now you have a bunch of things like, damn, I should have did this. I should have did this. It's like, you could actually have done these things. If you do these things and you lose, then it's like, I gave my absolute all. I can leave this game peacefully. I can lay my head down at night, sleep okay, and you know what? I did everything the right way I was supposed to. I gave everything to this organization or this relationship, whatever it is, this job. And if I got fired, you know what? I gave them all. There's nothing that I missed that was like, damn, I should have did this more. And if you come without a championship, you're going to be regretting like, damn, I should have did things differently or the right way. And you don't want to do that. So fix it now while you can, because you don't have this opportunity many times where you have a group that's good enough to win.
All right. We spent a lot of time on that, but I think it was justified. There are some NBA Cups going down on Tuesday night. We'll discuss that next week. Let's just go through some quick hitters real quick before we close out the show, Danny. Real quick. Your boy LeBron James, bruh.
I don't know
it's crazy, yo.
I don't know what food he got in that house. Like, where is he, getting the supplements or whatever he's got going on? Well, we need to find it, bro. We need to find it. I got kids coming up. I want to make sure they get the right nutrients. Start them at birth. Like, I need to know, Brian, I'm gonna do an interview. I'm gonna do a secret interview. Like, all right, you started eating what at 2 years old? And 3.
Yeah, right. We need to be
17.
LeBron's mom. Her name is Gloria, right? We need to talk to Gloria James. We need to talk to Gloria James for real. We gotta see what's going on.
17 year one. What was you doing, Brian? Okay, cool. All right, and now you're doing what? Sounds about right.
Yeah. Real quick, more of a gameplay thing with the Los Angeles Lakers. They have moved D'Angelo Russell to the bench, Cam Reddish into the starting lineup, supposedly for more defense, particularly their perimeter defense. Your thoughts on that? And I did find it interesting that there was a report that came out a couple of days ago. The Lakers are not interested in moving D'Angelo Russell because they see how he fits on the bench unit. And then I think Shams came out and reported on Tuesday that the Lakers are looking for a big man. Like, I think we all know how this goes. Just so I could decipher it, I have no concrete information, but I'm reading the tea leaves. The Lakers make it want to seem like they could drive up the price on D'Angelo Russell because they actually value him. But at the same time, they will put him in a trade package to get a big man.
A nice big man.
Of course.
Well, yeah, we know how the BS, the business, the politics goes, especially with the swaying of the media in your favor. There's a lot of things that I like and do not like about everything that you brought to the table with. I love the fact that JJ's coaching them well, and he's coaching them hard. Like, he's being a hard ass and calling people out and letting people know what's going down.
Hey, Danny, I will say, sorry to cut you off again. Your boy JJ, I've already started to see some grays coming up, bro. It's
a stressful job. He had some before he got there. It's just getting a little more glaring now, but he had some before he got there. But yeah, it just shows me coaching is stressful, and I don't think I was wrong about it. If he has a full head of hair, gray hair, he's looking like Santa Claus by 2026. Coaching ain't for me, bro. So, but he's doing his thing, man. I like a lot of what he's doing. I like that he's challenging them and calling them out. I do like D'Angelo off the bench. I don't like how it happened. I feel like it was one game. JJ called him out to the media, and the next he's right off the bench. And I think he's a very good player. I do believe he deserves a starting lineup or just like a starting role. Now, if you take some losses and you think, we need more scoring on the bench or defense, I do like Cam Reddish a lot. I'm surprised he didn't play as much last year at the end of the year and then start early on this year. They finally incorporated him. I think he's a good player if he can stay healthy, locked in. I understand they're looking for a new big. Christian Wood is out again. Jackson Hayes is up and down. AD sometimes has injuries, so they're looking for another solid backup big with Christian Wood's injuries. But yes, I do like D'Angelo off the bench for them as a scoring role. It could be the Jamal Crawford, the J.R. Smith, though J.R. started, but there's a lot of guys that come on the bench and score for you and do some good things. Also create, because they have too many ball handlers in that starting lineup. Austin Reeves, Braun, of course. And then last year they had Schroeder, you know what I'm saying? So him coming off the bench allows AR to work, LeBron to work, AD, obviously, they're featuring him the most, but you don't need 3 ball handlers. Get a defender nest, floor spacer. So I like the Cam Reddish move. I just don't like how the D'Angelo going to the bench happened and how quickly it happened because they felt like it made him seem like he was missing defense assignments, so JJ benched him, or he just was not doing things JJ asked him. So it's like, he's still a very good player. He's good enough to start. He deserves a starting role. But if it was just like a couple of games later, like, we need to switch things up. We took some L's. We think we need D'Angelo to create more in that second unit. We don't have that to himself. Also to score more, and we need more defense in the lineup. It looked like more of punishing of D'Angelo Russell because of the one game. I didn't like how that went.
I understand that. Speaking of floor spacing, I know you just mentioned that. The Oklahoma City Thunder now have a starting lineup with 5 players under 6'7". Because they have the injury to Chet Holmgren, Coach Dagnall said, fuck it, excuse my language, we just going to go small. And it's panning out well. Since this has happened, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is now averaging 34.5 points per game. I think this might actually boom him up the MVP rankings, Danny, because his usage is going to go up. And if they could actually survive, still be a top 3 seed, obviously Isaiah Hartenstein is going to come back, but Isaiah Hartenstein is not the scoring threat that Chet Holmgren is. If they're able to tread water or still play at a high level,
afloat, man. They just got to keep winning games. Stay afloat, keep winning games. Isaiah obviously not scoring there, but he could rebound and protect the rim. You need that. They need rebound, and we know that. SGA hooping, balling. I love it. Him and Jalen. They did take one tough L to non-Luka Dallas Mavericks, I think it was a couple of days ago. That was a tough one. They can't have those. But if they continue to stay afloat and they keep winning games, which I expect them to do so, SGA could be MVP. Jokic has been out a little bit. He's been put up crazy numbers, unbelievable numbers.
He's nuts.
But I don't know how much will Denver tread water. Aaron Gordon, him being out, you know what I'm saying? Like those type of things. How will he come back after, a couple games off? But yeah, SGA has a good shot at getting that trophy this year if he stays healthy and they keep winning games without Chet.
And one more note. There's so much has happened in the NBA. We'll have to save it for next week. And the last note, I think this will put the smile on your face. We actually have an opportunity, Danny. We actually have an opportunity where a role player could make all NBA first defensive team. His name, Dyson Daniels. His nickname, the Great Barrier Thief. He just finished a streak of 6 games where he had a total of 30 steals. Nobody in the NBA has 30 steals all season combined. He was able to accomplish that in a 6-game stretch against the Sacramento Kings on Monday night. He only had 1 steal, but that steal was a game-winning steal against De'Aaron Fox to stop them from being able to tie or take the lead in the last.
They didn't even give him or credit him the steal because they changed the rules now. They're giving him blocks. He had 4 blocks that game, which to me, I'm sure some of those were steals.
Oh,
down. So I'm like, he probably has more steals than what they're crediting him for because they're calling blocks. The guy goes up, swipe down. Swipe Fred VanVleet was one of the top leaders in blocks last year. Swipe down.
Yeah,
we
got
down. Guards, 6-foot guards now getting blocks now. But I think they should go back to changing that. Obviously, figuring out a way to, I guess, balance it anyway. Like some of them can be blocks, whereas you block it, but if it's a swipe down steal, it should be a steal. Those shouldn't be blocks. But yes, unbelievable feat. If he keeps that up, he could be defensive player of the year, which is crazy from a guy coming out of nowhere that New Orleans let go, to just let him go. Yep. He was shooting some guns at them on the bench one day. Oh, he would have hit a 3-ball, gave him a couple, which was funny. Gave him a little, So this is great, man. I love to see certain guys. I love to see defense, man. And that's one of the things that I was disappointed in the league as the years gone on is that the defensive players just how limited or how much less we were allowed, how we weren't allowed to be as physical, how much less defense is being played, but just how we had no real area. We had no power in the game. We had no property. They had nothing. It was just all offense. They changed some things where, some offensive guys in the middle of it jump backwards, stop kicking your leg. So they're trying to help the defense some. But I would love to see more physicality. I would love the defensive guys to have more power and more space and more say-so. And I think it could start with a young guy like this. If he can create or can continue to keep this going and obviously be all-team defense or even defensive player of the year, it'll change the defense overall because he's a perimeter guy. Usually bigs win this, right? Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert. It's a perimeter-oriented game now. Yeah, it's a perimeter game. These guards, if you have guards, then now everybody else is going to have to not abide by the rules, but the perimeter defense is going to be allowed to be a little bit more physical. You'll see more Dillon Brooks, Pat Bev physicality going on in the game, which we love to see.
Yep, that is for sure. With that being said, thoroughly enjoyed this podcast episode with you, my friend. Appreciate all the insight into your time with the San Antonio Spurs and the Lakers, or with LeBron rather yet. With that being said, and obviously with Philadelphia, with that being said, we'll be back next week with more Inside the Green Room. We'll update you with the NBA Cup action, and we'll look ahead to that upcoming weekend in NBA play. And I'm sure by then some other news will break as well. With that being said, you guys know what to do. Tell them,
read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.